Through storms we sail, with hearts held high. Resilience blooms, reaching for the sky. In trials we find our strength and grace. With unwavering spirit we embrace. A scintillating morning to one and all present here. Today we gather here to celebrate the fifth Reverend Brother Stanislaus Memorial Lecture. I'm truly delighted to welcome all of you to this important seminar on the topic Building Resilience in Students. Brother Stanislaus was a man of courage and a man of faith. He was, is, and shall be the chief architect of St. Paul's. He was the only principal who served our school with relentless efforts for a period of 18 consecutive glorious years. A school which was not recognized to a massive institution is all because of Brother Stanislaus. A group of 30 students to a school with more than 3,000 students is because of Brother Stanislaus. He took up the responsibility as a leader and was conscious about the needs of students. His determination and exuberant leadership qualities provided an excellent learning infrastructure for the students to learn more efficiently. Today, the two buildings which we see on the either sides of the road is because of Brother Stanislaus. The library with more than 3,000 books and big auditoriums is because of Brother Stanislaus' efforts. Today, we gather here for nurturing the student community and preparing them for the challenges that lie ahead. I welcome the distinguished speaker on the dais, Mr. Maheshwer Peri, Chartered Accountant, alumnus of St. Paul's High School, 1983 batch. Hearty welcome, sir. I now take the pleasure of welcoming the Alumni Association. Thank you for conducting this informative seminar. I hope it gives us Paulians, it helps us Paulians in all our future endeavors. I welcome all the management members, Principal, Reverend Brother Sudhakar Reddy, members of the alumni, teachers, and my dear friends. Thank you.
Prayer is the melody of the soul's conversation with the divine, each word a note in a song of faith. It carries our hopes, fears, and gratitude on the wings of music, connecting us to embrace of the divine presence. I now invite the school choir to lead us in the prayer song. I request all of you to stand in a prayerful posture. Please be seated. Lighting a lamp holds profound symbolic and cultural significance in various traditions worldwide. It symbolizes the triumph of light over darkness, represents spirituality, and is commonly used in religious rituals and ceremonies. It serves as a connection between the physical and spiritual realms, fostering devotion, meditation, and a sense of illumination, both in a literal and metaphorical sense. Whether in temples, homes, or churches, the act of lighting a lamp carries rich symbolism and meaning. I now request our distinguished speaker, Mr. Maheshwer, our president of the St. Paul's Alumni Association, Mr. Mazhar Ali, our principal, Reverend Brother Sudhakar Reddy, Mr. Ajay Reddy, executive member of St. Paul's Alumni Association, and Mr. Kanaka Kumar, treasurer of St. Paul's Alumni Association, to light the lamp. Thank you, brother, and thank you, sir.
School is a six-lettered word with millions of memories, thousands of stories, hundreds of mistakes, zero regrets, infinite love, care, happiness, and fun. Do you agree? Yes, sir. A place, an institution, a community we hold close to our heart. And it is with this fondness I welcome our chief guest, Mr. Maheshwer Peri, chairman and founder of Careers 360 and alumnus of St. Paul's High School 1983 batch. And we at St. Paul's High School are honored and happy to have you address our students the second time, sir. Welcome. I also extend my welcome to the members of the Alumni Association who have worked together, organized the 5th Reverend Brother Stanislaus Memorial Lecture and keeping the flame alive for today's celebration. Let us put our hands together for a resounding applause to our past, our present, and to our future. I guess the extended applause is for our future. Let me now invite our principal, Reverend Brother Sudhakar Reddy, to present a bouquet to our chief guest, Mr. Maheshwer Peri. And the President of the Alumni Association, Mr. Mazhar Ali, to present a shawl. A shawl that carries the fragrance and values of the teachings of St. Paul's and all the mentors that they have come across. To you, sir, let me introduce the audience, our students of class 10, comprising 68 girls. Can you wave your hands? 129 boys, making a total of 197 students that you're going to address today, who are graced and enveloped in the 4 C's: confidence, character, capability, and creativity. And these little Chandrayans, who have been nurtured for 12 years in our institution, is now getting ready to be launched into the space of success. And what we're going to see them next is as glowing stars next year and the years ahead. Welcome, sir, once again, and over to you.
Mr. Maheshwer Peri started his career as an investment banker with the largest investment bank in India, SBI Capital Markets. A chartered accountant by profession, he is also a qualified management accountant and company secretary. Mr. Peri took over the reins of one of the fastest growing media groups at a young age of 28 in 1998. Mr. Peri believes in the power and need of education for the future of India and its youth. He turned an entrepreneur in 2009 and started his own publishing venture, Pathfinder Publishing. The company now publishes Careers 360, a complete career magazine which targets the 17 to 24-year-old students. Careers 360 has redefined journalism in the education and careers genre and made it mainstream for those that were found in supplements. The magazine is also available in Hindi language. In April 2012, Mr. Peri gave up full-time responsibilities at the Outlook Group and turned a mentor for them. Since then, Mr. Peri is working on creating the largest educational portals across 6 verticals in India to advise our council and handhold students and help them achieve their career goals. Pathfinder, under Mr. Peri's leadership, aspires to be India's largest online community of students, sharing information that would help, guide, and inspire students to achieve their career objectives. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Hi, students. Hello, students. Good. I'm so happy. Like, I passed out in 1983. It was a boys-only school. I'm told that in 96 this became a co-ed school, and I'm so glad that you girls are sitting here. You are at this point I'm 35%. Brother, I'm hoping in the next 5-10 years it will be 50% girls and 50% boys. I think diversity in schools and colleges is the most important thing, because if you don't understand the opposite gender, then we are in for a calamitous times, right? So I'm so happy, brother, that St. Paul's is now a co-ed school with 35% girls here, and I'm hoping, sincerely hoping, that it will be 50% girls in the next 5-10 years. I've heard of Brother Stanislaus, but when I came in 78. Brother Matthews was the principal, but we heard stories of Brother Stanislaus for a long, long time. He was a legend even in our times, and we were always living under the shadow of what Brother Stanislaus would have done if he was around. So much of the discipline, the rigor, the kind of studies that we were going through, I think it had an overhang of how Brother Stanislaus would have conducted himself in a school as a principal at that point in time. And I saw one of the images here, and many of the teachers that I saw in the images were my teachers too. Pushpalata teacher, Freni teacher. So I could see many pictures there and I felt, okay, some of them are still here? No? Okay. I think it's too long a time, so, right. But I do remember some of those pictures and some of the teachers, and I said, and I told myself that I think I am standing here because those teachers caught hold of my ear, twisted it, once in a while, took a pencil and put it between my fingers to press it. I know it is slightly difficult these days because we are a more liberal society than what we were, right? But it used to happen and it made me what I am today. So, my first advice to you students is never, look at a teacher who is trying to discipline you from the eyes of being a victim. You're never a victim, you're learning in the process, and that's how it will be always. In my days, I was not the best of the students. Some of you would be the best of the students. Half the time I was standing outside my class because I was punished, right? But that's how life is. Again, I'm standing here because someone took the initiative to put me on the right path. In those days, the punishment was such. These days it might be something else for all that I know. I don't know what the kind of punishment that you have, what are the kind of penalties you have. But that's important. When Mazhar Bhai told me, and thank you Brother Sudhakar Reddy and Mazhar Bhai for calling me here. I'll come any single day whenever you call me because this is where my future took shape. I am, again, as I keep saying, I'm here for what this school taught me, right? And one of the very important things I wanted to mention here is I was inquiring about the kind of fee that is charged and all. It's extremely important in these times to make education affordable, and the kind of fee that St. Paul's charges. Of course, for some it might still be expensive, for some it might be easy, and so on and so forth. But I think it's extremely moderate with what you're doing. It's extremely important for us as a society to moderate fee to the learning outcomes, and affordability in that process is extremely important. So thank you, brother, for keeping things very stable and not really radically transforming it to a different level. Now, how many of you watch cricket? Fantastic. How many of you know Mavan Attapattu? How many of you know Mavan Attapattu? Attapattu, Sri Lanka's cricketer. You saw the Asia Cup this time? Yes. You know the bald-head guy who was one of the commentators? There was a bald-head guy from Sri Lanka who was a commentator. He is Mavan Attapattu. He was the premier opening batsman of Sri Lanka in my times. Now, when Mazhar Bhai told me that it's about resilience, it is so easy for all of us to go into a slumber, talk of being very preachy stuff of what you should be, what you should not be, give 10 quotes and move on with life, right? So I'll tell you the story of Mavan Attapattu today. You all enjoy cricket, right? So I'll tell you the story of Mavan Attapattu today. Now, Mavan Attapattu was, and by the way, this story was told by Harsha Bhogle many times over, because whenever he goes to colleges and schools and all, he takes the example of Mavan Attapattu. What is the story about Mavan Attapattu? He made his debut in Test cricket for Sri Lanka, scored a duck in the first innings and again in the second innings. So on debut, 2 ducks. No chance, right? He was dropped immediately. They dropped him, so he went back to the nets for more practice, more first-class cricket, more runs, waiting for that elusive call. Because 2 ducks, who the heck gives a chance all over again, right? And for 21 months, he kept going back to his local cricket tournaments and kept practicing, kept playing. After 21 months, he got the second call, right? Because he was scoring a lot in the domestic cricket. This time, he tried harder. He scores 0 in the first innings, 1 in the second innings. Again, he was dropped. Obviously. So now you have 4 innings, total score of 1. Who stands a chance? He was again dropped and scored tons of runs in first class cricket. So he went back to first class cricket all over again, domestic cricket, Sri Lankan domestic cricket. He scored tons of runs and he forced the selectors to call him all over again. Third time he comes in again, 17 months later. So now we are 38 months since he made debut. 21 months, then again 17 months, right? And again, this time around, he scored a 0 and a 0. So now we have Atapattu, 6 innings, total 1 score. No chance. He goes back to domestic cricket all over again. He again practices. He sweats it out. He doesn't fall. That's because he was resilient. He knew what he wanted. He knew what he should do for it. It is just that the day when he was batting was not his day. Right? So he goes back to domestic cricket all over again starts practicing. And after 3 years, which means now we are 38 months plus 36 months, which is about 6 years, 2 months, he gets a chance. At the end of his career, he has 5,000 plus runs as an opener, 6 double hundreds, 15 hundreds. What do you learn from them? What do you learn from him? Never give up. Be resilient. Be focused on what your goals are. You will have good days and bad days. You will have fortunate dates and unfortunate dates. But when you give in, you would never be an Atapattu. And today, he's the best commentator for Sri Lanka, by the way. And the reason why I say this story is that in modern times, in my generation, I may not have been resilient, but I'll still move on with life. You go and ask your parents, your father, for example, or your mother, if both of them are working, wonderful, go and ask them, what did they study and what are they working for? For more than half the people, and in fact 75-80% people, I can guarantee you that what they're working for and what they studied, there is no sync, there is no linkage. They would have done commerce and teaching something. They would have done commerce and being in a call center, or maybe being somewhere else a superintendent engineer or whatever it is. Right? I, for one, I did CA, ICAA, ACS, which means I'm an accountant. Right? I first became an investment banker. Then I became a media man. So journalist I was. And now I'm an education counselor. Where is the link? What I'm trying to tell you is that in our world also, in our times also, what you study and what you work are dramatically different. And in your world, it will never be the same. It will never be the same. You might take computer sciences and do coding, but you'll retire as a managing director of a company which might involve coding, but it's just one part of your life. Right? And to that extent, you extremely need to be resilient. So what I did today is, when the subject of resilience came in, I didn't know how to deal with it because it can be an extremely boring subject. What does resilience mean? It's extremely boring in a certain sense. So I put together some numbers for you to understand what happens in the real life world, and a small presentation. I won't take a long time, so don't worry about that. Now, what is resilience? It's a process and outcome of successfully adapting to difficult or challenging life experiences. Right? Especially through mental, emotional and behavioral flexibility. What Atapattu went through is exactly that. He had failures, he had mental and emotional baggage to carry every time he was walking into the pitch. Because whenever he walks into the pitch, the 6 zeros would always knock him on his head. How do you ride over that? How do you overcome that? Is what Atapattu is teaching us. Right? And how do you be flexible behaviorally to deal with it? Because initially he was opener, then he was brought in as one down, 2 down, and then came back as opener. Right? That flexibility, if you were to say that I can only be an opener, he'll never be a part of a team. Right? So he took his chance, came in somewhere else, and then again wrote back his time back to be the opener of Sri Lanka. And that's important. Now, do you know this animal? It is called tardigrades or tardigrades. You know that, right? Now, this animal is the most resilient animal in the world, including human beings. We are all animals, right? They can survive extreme conditions of extreme temperatures, extreme pressures, air deprivation, radiation, dehydration, starvation. It will survive everything. We as human beings physically cannot do that, right? But can we do that emotionally? We can do that, right? That's about our emotional strength. How strong are we? So anything that happens, you might be knocked down, you might be, pulled down, there might be people pulling your legs and bringing you down. can you again stand up is what resilience is all about. It's not about how many times you fell, but how many times you actually had the courage of conviction to stand up and still keep walking. Because ultimately we as life, and it can be very preachy or philosophical when I say this, life is all about continue to doing the walk, come what may. You will fall, people will make you fall, people will pull you down, people will make you crawl. But again, at the end of it, people will knock you down, you will take a few knocks on your head. But the strength is when the other opponent says, okay, whatever I say, how many times I knock him down, he's again standing up. You need to be able to look at life in its eyes and say, I can't be falling down. I would never fall down forever. And that's important. So this is what, tardigrades is, and that is what emotionally, physically it's difficult for human beings, right? Because we are not built to be that. But emotionally, we can make ourselves to be built for that, right? So I'll also tell you why this is important for you. Now, over the last many years, if you notice, how many of you know ChatGPT, right? So all of you know AI. Now, whatever you study now, AI can do it better? Yes. All of you are anyway using AI for doing your homework? Yes. That is cheating. That is cheating. All of you said yes, right? But trust me, moving forward, using technology to do some of your stuff is not completely cheating because you're learning that technology also. So if your teacher says you're cheating because you're using ChatGPT, you say, ma'am, I'm trying to learn ChatGPT. Right? That's a good excuse for all of you. Do that. Right? But extremely important, while you're using ChatGPT, don't do cut, copy, paste. Then you're not learning anything. Use ChatGPT if you want. Read that, edit that, put it in your language, add a few inputs, then you're using it well. If you're doing cut, copy, paste, then your life will also be a cut, copy, paste. Right? But AI is going to replace a lot of the skill sets that we are at this point in time learning. In the next decade, about 80%, 90% of what we're learning might be redundant or obsolete or maybe useless. Today, robots perform surgeries. Like on shop floors and on manufacturing, like if you go to large countries, like you go to China or even in India, many of the stuff that earlier manual people were doing as mechanical engineers and all, robots do that. Right? So at every point in time, technology is finding a place to replace your skill set. How can you be ahead of those times and still use those technologies to be more efficient? That's what you need to be working on. Anything that you learn, you need to be adaptive, flexible, and of course resilient, right? Resilient because you need to stand up. Flexible and adaptive because if Adapatu was said, I only want to be an opener, he might not have been there, right? Flexible because you need to come back and deal with this whole life, right? So the important thing here is that much of what you're studying here is a learning for you to expand your brain, expand your thought process, make you question, make you understand, learn from those things, because that bright mind that you have is what you have, not what you read in the books beyond the point. Because what you read might be replicated through a AI chatbot or might be replicated through a new technology tomorrow. You will learn a skill set which is very manual in nature. Tomorrow a robot will come and replace that possibly. Like how many of you went to a bank to withdraw cash these days? You go to a bank to withdraw cash, you should be living in 1900s because today people withdraw from ATMs. Right? In my days, every bank used to have a teller. So there were 400,000 banks and there were 400,000 cash dispersal officers. Now they're not there. An ATM takes care of it. So those jobs are gone. So you will keep finding these kind of things moving forward. That AI, ATMs, robotics, machine learning, these things which we did not have in our times, but you have in your times, is going to replace the skill set that you're studying so studiously. So the important thing for you is to understand technology, adapt to technology, understand how you can use the technology to make your job easier and better, but not to challenge it saying that this cannot take it away from me, because that's not likely to happen. How many of you read a newspaper? Very few. How many of you read websites? Right? So in our life now, we actually have a saying that with every 60 plus year old person dying, we actually have a newspaper reader dying. And with every baby being born, you have a website reader coming up. Because the generation is moving. And you have to move with it. Right? So that's important for you, which means that you need to be flexible, adaptive, and resilient about the whole thing. What's the next one if you see? I'll give you one small example. Now this is about the kind of choices that you're thrown with. You know, in our times now, we used to have PCM, PCB, commerce, arts, khatam. These days you have thousands of courses. You have so many choices that you don't know what you should choose as a choice also. You're so confused. It's so complex. The world is so complex. Someone takes history, mathematics, economics. Now, what will he do at graduation? You don't know. But in class 11th, he's chosen history, economics, and geography. Or history, economics, and mathematics. What do you do with that? There is definitely a course on the other side. So the example that I'm showing here is a central university's entrance test, which is called CUET, which is an examination that you take to get into any central universities in the country. Right? And this was last year's data that they had. They had the total question papers that were given, there were 157 subjects. There were 157 subjects in which, exam was taken. And if you read the kind of subjects, you will be in awe of, oh, this subject also exists, kind of a question that will come to you. But it exists. All of you know biology, zoology, physics, mathematics, chemistry and all. But in all, there are 157 such subjects. Right? These 157 subjects led to 4,597 courses that were being offered in the central universities. 4,597 courses. I'm talking of variant courses. So someone taking economics, geography and mathematics is into a different group versus economics, geography and mathematics, chemistry or something. You might take chemistry for all that, because that is what flexible curriculum is all about. You like chemistry, you want to take chemistry. You like history, you take history. Now what? But there are courses for that also, right? It was bilingual, Hindi and English. It will soon expand over 10 more languages, right? The total question papers that were set was 396 out of this for this 157 subjects because it was held over a period of time. So that's a different matter altogether. Now, what will happen is you may want to do a course, but because of admission chances, because of a score, merit or whatever, you might not get that course. So you want to do a course, you do a different course, at the end of it, you do a completely different job. Possibility? There are 99% chances that that's what it will be. All the students who are doing BTech, mechanical, IT, civil, biotechnology, where do they work? They work in Infosys, right? Now, how is that relevant? You've done mechanical engineering, you should be working in a Larsen & Toubro, but you're working in Infosys or Wipro or, right? Now, that is what you need to understand. That these people, what they learned is the essential skill set of analyzing, evaluating, learning the subjects within that, but it expands their mind, it expands the brain. So, extremely important for you to be flexible, resilient, and adaptive. I'll give you one more example. During COVID times, 2 years of COVID times, in both the years, hotels were closed. What will happen to a student who does MBA in hospitality or MBA in hotel management? They've done hotel management, which means they must get a job in hotels, but hotels were closed. Hotels didn't even know how to retain their existing manpower because hotels were closed. So they had employees then, and then you have a new set of employees coming in from colleges. Where were they placed? What does resilience do? They went and became customer success managers in different companies, in corporate companies. Because what they learned as a skill set is how to service, how to interact, how to engage, how to ensure that people are happy on the other side when they're interacting. So what did they do? They did not get into hospitality or hotel management. They went into big corporates and became relationship managers, became public relations managers, became engagement managers, became customer success managers. Right? But if you look at the degree, it's MBA in hotel management, MBA in hospitality. And the same thing happened in multiple places. Because in COVID times, many people had to adapt, change their job, change the line of thinking, use the skill set that they learned, and pick up jobs which are slightly different. But it is within the realm of the skill set that they learned at hotel management. Right? So that's very important for you. So moving forward, your generation especially, you want to do a course, you will not get a seat for that. So your parents and yourself will say, okay, if not this, I'll do the other one. So you'll do another different course. By the end of the 4 years now, you'll ultimately get into a job which is not what you learned. High chances. But there is nothing wrong in that. As I'm saying, I'm a chartered accountant, supposed to be an accountant, became an investment banker, became a media man. Now I'm talking to you on courses and careers. Right? So you must remember that. Now, the thing that you must remember, there is a new education policy. How many of you know new education policy? Some of you know, okay. I'll briefly tell you in one single slide of what it means for you people. From now on, if you're bored, you can leave your college. Happy? Happy? Who's happy? Okay. Right? But the thing is this. If earlier in our days, if I'm doing degree first year and I have a problem at home or I feel my health is a problem or whatever it is, I cannot drop out. Now you can drop out and come back after 1 year and continue the course. Right? And you call it a gap year. The second thing is you take in physics, economics and mathematics. Tomorrow you can remove economics and bring in history in year 2. You can do that. It's flexible curriculum is what they call. And the third thing is, if you leave your degree in year 1, you'll get a certificate. If you leave it in year 2, you get a diploma. If you leave it in year 3, you get a degree. If you leave it in 4th year, you get a research associate. So there are, at any point in time you can leave, you can come back to move from certificate to diploma. You can come back to move from diploma to degree. It's a possibility. I'm not suggesting for one moment that you must leave. Remember this. Right? All I'm saying is it's flexible enough. Like a lot of people who want to go abroad, they take a gap year. Right? Gap year is normal internationally. Now that gap year is a possibility in India also. Right? So what it means is that you actually have lots of flexibility. How does this all work? The government has created something called Academic Bank of Credits. You know bank, right? Bank where you put in money and you can withdraw money when you want, right? So the government says for you to be a degree holder, you need to have 600 credits, right? If you study 3 subjects in year 1, each subject will have 50 credits. So 50 plus 50 plus 50, 150. And that way you need to accumulate 600 credits to be a degree holder. Now, the government is not specifying which subjects you must take. It can be any of those 157 subjects. It's not suggesting that you must take only this pathway, only then I'll count it. No. So you can take Sanskrit and Hindi and mathematics and add 50 plus 50 plus 50 and have 150 in the bank. The day your credits become 600, you become a degree holder. You got it? So the flexibility is such. So the government has started something called Academic Bank of Credits. You can go search for it, you'll understand what exactly it means. From this session onwards, this year onwards, every degree giving institution is supposed to be a part of the Academic Bank of Credits. Any new course that they're starting, it must be a part of ABC. It's called ABC, Academic Bank of Credits. Right. So it gives you flexibility. You can be changing because you don't like chemistry suddenly or you don't like maths. You get into maths because your parents forced you and you don't like maths. In year 2, at least they'll allow you to change it. So you can go by what you like than what someone has defined that this is what you must study. And that gives you greater responsibility, empowers you for sure, but all empowerment comes with responsibility. So you should be responsible enough in making those choices. I'll give you what we're dealing with as a universe at this point in time. Can all of you see that? Backbenchers? Backbenchers. You can see that, right? Right. So backbenchers is not a good word here, is it? It is? Listen, the boys there are gentlemen. I can already see that because they ensured that the girls are sitting in front. So all of you are gentlemen. Right? They love you to sit here. They could have rushed through and, taken the chairs. So whatever it is, I think Brother Sudhakar Reddy is doing a good job of ensuring that you boys become good gentlemen by the time you get out of this school. So thank you so much. Right. So in the country at this point in time, you have about 3.91 lakh courses which are being offered by 43,819 colleges. So across the country, you have 43,819 colleges which are offering 3,91,000 courses, right? Of which, and then those same colleges also offer 17,675 they offer 17,675 certification programs. And then the total number of and the online is 17,944. So if you don't want to go to the college, there are also online programs. So the same 43,000 offers 17,675 certification programs, 3,91,000 degree programs, and 17,944 online programs. That's the whole number that you're getting, right? Now you look at the institutes. You have about 55,000 colleges all put together, of which 13,000 are colleges and universities. And then you have diploma programs and those. I don't think this is relevant to you. Just kept this, right? Now I'll tell you something else. I told you about 3.91 lakh courses. Now look at the courses that you have. Sciences you have 10,849. Arts you have 10,675. These are institutes. But look at the programs. Across the country, in arts, science and commerce, you have 74,640 courses that are being offered as of date. Right? Engineering, you have 74,198 courses. So a college might have 20 of them. Mechanical, civil, vagara. They might have 20. The 20 is a part of the 74,000. Right? Social sciences is 25,000. In all, about 4.57 lakh courses, certifications, diplomas, degrees, all put together, 4.57 lakh. Now the important thing is, someone says, I want to do engineering. So you are slotting yourself into the 74,198, right? But how many engineering programs, do you know that? Look at this. The total BTech universities, you have actually about 21% of the total BTech programs that are offered in the country are computer science related at this point in time. But the choice that you have to make is, like as I said, 5,700 computer programs. But look at the variant things. There are 271 specializations within BTech. 271. You know the top 20. All of you will know the top 20. Right? Now look at the bottom 20 that I will describe. Metallurgical and material science, production engineering, textile engineering, petroleum engineering, marine engineering, dairy technology, fire and safety engineering, petrochemical engineering, pharmaceutical engineering, fine chemical engineering, industrial, medical, mathematics and computing, ceramic, naval architecture, automotive, architecture, genetics, cement, aircraft maintenance, oils and oleochemicals. This one on the right, on the left side, everyone will know because they are popular courses. CS, civil, mechanical, everyone knows that. The thing is, you have the spoiled for choices. But it's important for you because if you're targeting certain program or certain company, like for example, if you take marine engineering, you'll be marine engineer and not 100% jobs. There is an institute called Indian Maritime Academy, IMA, right? Prabha, that's the one, right? Right. IMA has 100% placement. 100% placement. Placement rate is 9 lakh rupees. And not many people go there. Because it's very specialized. But once you go there, companies around the world, which are into maritime, will recruit. Petrochemical, there are 6 specialized universities in the country. All these Bharat Petroleum, Shell, Indian Oil, all these people, Reliance, these people struggle to find petroleum engineers. 100% placement. People don't go there. Telecom engineering, people don't go there. But 100% placement. So you have a choice to make. But for you to have a choice to make, you need to understand what are the possibilities that are there. If you don't know the possibilities, where is the choice? If your possibilities is civil engineering, mechanical and computer sciences, you choose between the 3, right? Now I am saying that 271, understand, go, understand what are the institutes that give it, right? And then deal with it. You get my point? So that's the first thing, engineering. I've taken 2 or 3 subjects so that you understand the kind of choices that you're dealing with. And to that extent, at some point in time, resilience also triggers in because you're doing mechanical and jumping to Infosys, right? So the same thing can happen here also, no problem about that. Because you're learning a skill set and expanding your brain. The next one I'm showing you is languages. There are all put together 14,436 language degree programs in the country. On the left one, everyone knows. Persian, French, Punjabi, Arabic, Urdu, Bengali, everyone knows that, right? Like English is highest, 6616 programs, right? Then you'll have Hindi, Sanskrit and all, because those are our languages. Look on the right side. You want to go to and settle in Greece, do the program on Greek. What happened? Yeah. You have 2 programs, degree programs in Greek. 6 in Jyotirvigyan. You want to be an astrologer, you have it. You want to do that? Good for you. Right? Latin, Portuguese, Vedic studies, Korean, Tibetan, Italian, Vastu Shastra, Afzal Ulama. By the way, one of the programs is Ulama in QA. Right? Nepali, Japanese, Chinese, Jyotish, Spanish, Vyakarna, Russian, German. And all these are degree programs. I'm not talking of certification programs. I'm talking of degree programs. You actually have colleges which are offering degrees in Latin, in Greek, in Persian, in Arabic. So, for example, you want to go and settle in Middle East. You might choose a certain degree and say, I want to do this. I want to do Spanish because I want to be a translator. Because that's his occupation, right? And embassies here take it. You want to go and settle in Spain, you can do that, right? So, that's what it is. You need to know your choices. You need to know your options. And you need to be adaptive enough to say, okay, if this option is there, if I do Spanish, what are my course possibilities? I can be a translator. I can go and study in Spain, or I can sit here and do something, being it, you can write books for others where you translate and put it together. You can work in the embassy of Spain. There are multiple courses that open up if you learn only Spanish. So you need to understand the possibilities and then deal with it. Right? Now, this is what I'm always saying. The pre-COVID and post-COVID world is totally different. What I explained to you of the, MBA Maheshwer Peri. We have moved from humans to machines in many places. You no longer see humans behind machines a lot many times these days, right? Like ATM ke piche koi rehta hai? It's only ATM, right? There is no one. There is a security guard on the side, but there is no one sitting behind it, right? And from security to, like when the human race started, it was all about security. How do you be physically safe? From there we said, how do we ensure that we have food in our stomach? And now we're dealing with financial security and moving forward. So the generations are moving forward in terms of their aspirations, their needs, and what it means, right? And that's very important for you, right? So just need to understand this part of it and then deal with life, right? So one of the things that you must deal with it is, I told you that you have more options, you have greater flexibility. Does it mean that you exercise those possibilities? You need to take ownership of your decisions. When you fight with your parents saying, I want to do only this, then you must be very serious enough to say, I want to do this. A lot of people, what they do, I know a lot of kids who do that, they don't like mathematics. How many of you don't like mathematics? Fantastic. Right. So what do? They say, I'll choose anything other than mathematics. No, that's not the way to make a choice. That is not the way to make a choice. You must ultimately come back and say, I like to do this, instead of saying, I don't want to touch this. You get the point? When you do that, you take ownership. Otherwise, you're running away from a problem. How much can you run away from a problem? You can't. Beyond a point, you're caught somewhere, isn't it? You don't have stamina to deal with. Life is 90 years. You can't run 200 meters from here. Right? So understand this, that you need to start taking, because the choices are more, the options are more, the pathways are so many more, the courses are more, the career paths are so many more. You need to take ownership of your problems by deciding what you like and what you dislike. Don't go to towards a path where you dislike, but be sure that you like something. Don't be in the middle saying, I don't like this or anything other than that is fine, because that will be a wrong career choice. Right. And when you do that, you do a short burst of goal setting. You say, I'm doing this right now in class 10th, I'll study this. By class 12th, I'll learn these subjects. And I'll also do, gain some kind of mastery in one of these subjects. So you can say, for example, you take PCM. Some like mathematics because you want to be software engineers. Someone likes chemistry. So be sure that you work on chemistry so much more that you excel in chemistry, because that's what you love, right? And once you do that, you're getting into a course, pathway which is to do with fundamental sciences. That you want to be a scientist, you want to be a researcher, you want to be anything like that. But that's the pathway that you have, which means the colleges that open for you for an engineering graduate can be IITs and so on and so forth, many, including Malna Reddy, right? You like Malarati? No? Good. The party is on me. Right. Right. But if you're dealing with fundamental sciences, the pathway is ISER. How many of you know ISER? IISER? Indian Institute of Science and Research. You know that? So that's the fundamental sciences, which means that you're pursuing science as a passion and you want to be a scientist at some point in time. You want to be a researcher at some point in time. At some point in time, you want to be a faculty, a teacher, and so on and so forth, right? Now, if you look at the national institutes that we have in India, a lot of people know IIT, IIM, and AIMS, right? What are the other institutes? Institute of National Importance? For law, we have National Law Institute University, NLUs they call it. The best in, and they have about 8-9 of them, right? Then for science, you have ISER. So if you're seriously interested in science, ISER is the way out for you. IISER. That way you have multiple national institutes which are funded by the government where the fee is very moderate, where you come out sharp, but you need to be excelling in what you're doing. So in 11th and 12th, if you don't like maths and you like chemistry, work so hard in chemistry that you land up in ISER, because from ISER, your path is set. Right? And that way, by the way, you have it for everything. For design, you have NIDs. For fashion, you have NIFT. For architecture, you have, some of the IITs give that. And SPA, which is called School of Planning and Architecture. Right? And so on and so forth. So for any program that you have, there's a Government of India funded university which is the best in class. For everything. You name anything, there are about, in all put together, beyond IIMs, IITs and all, there are about 170. Like you talk of, for example, silk warming or textile or footwear design. There's an institute called FDDI, which is Institute of Footwear Design and Development of India, which gives degrees and diplomas. For textile, you have something, right? Instead of textiles, you have NIFT, which is fashion textiles, right? So for any program that you have, a Government of India funded All India Premier Institute is there. It is for you to find that out. It's for you to find where you want to be, what you want to be, and first aim for that before you keep coming down the ladder. Right? Like, how many of you heard of Indian Statistical Institute? Very good. Chennai Mathematical Institute? You heard of that. Now, CMI is the best mathematics institute in the country. Right? Indian Institute of Statistics, Indian Statistical Institute, they changed it to IIS, by the way, is because it's the best statistics institute in the country. 8 campuses, 100% placement, 12 lakh average salary, not all seats are filled in. Because all of you take a CAT examination to get into IIMs, but you don't know ISI or IIS at this point. Right? So that's what is important. You have Indian Packaging Institute, you have Indian Leather Institute, you name it, it's all up there. It is for you to understand what you want to study, and then there is a good pathway, which a government ministry has created, where the fee is moderate, the student cohort is very good, meritorious, and you actually have a definitive outcome coming on the other side. So that's what you need to understand. Right? So build confidence in your decision making. So you need to understand the options and then deal with this whole thing, right? So that's what I said, and at the end of it, I just want to, say one thing, this is something I read out for all school students when I talk to them. By the way, this is not written by me. It's written by a US judge. He's a Supreme Court Chief Justice. His name is John Roberts. And he was addressing a bunch of students like yourself who are graduating from the class. So you'll also be graduating within the next 3-4 months from class and then go to a college, right? So we talked of resilience, right? So I'll come back to resilience now. And he says, now the commencement speakers will typically also wish you good luck. A lot of people wish you good luck, right? And extend good wishes to you. Everyone does that? I will not do that. And I'll tell you why. From time to time in the years to come, I hope you will be treated unfairly, so that you will come to know the value of justice. I hope that you will suffer betrayal, because that will teach you the importance of loyalty. Sorry to say, but I hope you will be lonely from time to time, so that you don't take friends for granted. I wish you bad luck again from time to time, so that you will be conscious of the role of chance in life and understand that your success is not completely deserved and that the failure of others is not completely deserved either. And when you lose, as you will from time to time, I hope every now and then your opponent will gloat over your failure. It is a way for you to understand the importance of sportsmanship. I hope you will be ignored so you know the importance of listening to others. And I hope you will have just enough pain to learn compassion. Whether I wish these things or not, they are going to happen. And whether you benefit from them or not will depend upon your ability to see the message in your misfortunes. Thank you, friends. So I'll take any questions now, if you have any. And I'll take it from the girls first. So. Boys are gentlemen, so. This girl wants.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Abhinaya from class 10B. I just had a query for you. Whenever I see a movie or a book where a character really intrigues me, I feel like I should do the same job as the character. How do you think that I should manage what I want to do in life?
Wonderful question. Please sit up here. Right. My son, I was the publisher for Outlook. Outlook is one of the largest publishing groups in the country, right? So wherever I go, even CM, ministers and all, they would invite me, they'll welcome me and all those things, right? But my son realized that only the security guard stops me. Because the guard, wherever I go, first the guard stops you, then you say who you are and then he lets you enter, right? So he felt the security guard is the most powerful person on earth because he had the power to stop his father from entering. So he wanted to be a security guard. What I'm trying to say is, Abhiya, moving forward, you will see a lot of things and you will gravitate towards that. One is to say, I want to be this. Two is to say, I love this. They're both different. Moving forward, you'll understand that infatuation, love and fondness are three different things. How many of you are infatuated? All of you are lying, right? Okay. What I'm trying to say is that what you see on the screen is what you cannot not be because of whether you love that or not. For example, you like Shah Rukh Khan in Jawan. How many of you saw Shah Rukh Khan? Jawan? You liked him? Very good. The boys saw it more. Right. Now, can you take on the law into your own hands and be that man? Because you're always taught to, respect the rule of law. So what you at the most try to be is, you want to be a policeman because he started his career as a policeman, right? And that's how the journey would be. Never fall for real life characters. You be inspired by them, but you understand whether you love that piece if you have to go through the rigor. And there'll be a dramatic difference between the two. I'll tell you about myself. I always, when I started my career, I said, I want to travel a lot. I want to be in planes, I want to be in airports, I want to be flying from this side to that side and all. Today I hate traveling. Today I was telling Brother Sudhakar Reddy when I was coming in, to come here, I woke up at 3:30, got into a car at 4:30, was at the airport at 5:30, got into a flight at 6:30, landed at 9 o'clock, was here at 10 o'clock. So 3:30 onwards, I've been awake. All of you woke up at 7:30? No? 7:30? 6? Okay. 5. 5 how many? 6 how many? 7? Good. Give it up. Because they're telling the truth. Only 4 people are telling the truth in this entire hall. Okay, granted. But what I'm saying is that certain jobs require certain rigor. A lot of people in journalism, like 3 days back I was interviewing a person who was joining our thing. and she was moving from Times of India. And why was she moving? She was put in the night shift, which means her shift starts at 8 and ends at 4 in the morning. Because she was wrapping up the newspaper. Right? Now you might want to be a journalist, but go to a newspaper, that's your rigor. You go to a TV studio, something breaking news happens, you will be at the studio at 1 in the morning. Right? It's important for you to understand the role and responsibility that comes with that kind of a job. If you don't understand the responsibility, you're only infatuated by a role, but not necessarily you will be able to put in your best effort to justify that. And the most important thing is, if you don't justify your job, your growth gets stunted. If you don't enjoy your job, if you don't contribute to your job, if you don't own up to the job, I talked of ownership somewhere. If you don't own up to the job, then your growth gets stunted. Because the modern world is not about you working 9 to 6. You might be at home but thinking of work. You might be at work but thinking of home because there's an emergency at home. And both have to co-live with each other. Right? If there's an emergency at home, even if you're at work, the mind would be there. So you take permission and move on. And vice versa, if something happens, like my colleague Prabha is here, right? Prabha will tell you when an examination happens, right? They work for about 40 hours continuously, 40 hours. JEE examination is happening day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, right? Each of them have a 40-hour shift. They don't go back home. Because it's important for the student to be exactly told what's happening in the examination. What was yesterday's paper so that tomorrow's paper, it's over 4 days. They need to be informed of how difficult the paper is, what's happened, and also that people are plugged into the whole thing, right? Results came. The moment results came for NEET examination, for example, students are very concerned and nervous. With this score, where would I get? They want to talk to us. They want to talk to some expert. For 3 days, 72 hours, the medical team of mine is on a night shift. For 72 hours. They'll sleep in the office, they'll go there. I don't ask them to stay. Their working hours is 9 to 6. I didn't ask them to stay back. They stay back because they take ownership. Later they will take 1 week holiday saying we are exhausted. But important for them to be there when they're needed. Right? So you need to understand the role and the responsibility that comes with the role. Now, many of the roles there is a responsibility to that. If you don't understand that and are able to live up to it, your growth gets stunted. You'll remain a police constable, then never be an IG. Yeah? Next.
Sir, like I had a doubt. If someone wants to crack IIT or NEET exams, but they are really confused that is this the actual goal for me? So how should they think, like, if this goal is mine, but I'm confused, can I crack it or not? So what should I do?
Please sit. See, it's like this. It's not about whether you want to take NEET or JEE, right? When you choose a stream, say PCM or a PCB, you should be very clear of what the pathway is. The best pathway is that you will do an IIT or an MBBS, right? Those are the primary objectives that you have. So, the choice of JEE and NEET have been taken by you when you are actually taking the stream or making the choice of a stream. Now the second question comes saying that at some point in time you realize that you're not cut out to get the top 1 percentile of a JEE rank, because only then you'll get it. The fortunate or unfortunate thing is, you might be a 97 percentiler and a 40 percentiler. Both are same for JEE because you both don't get seats in IITs. Up to 98% you get into IITs. Anything below 98% you don't have very slim chance. So you might get 97% or you might get 40%. Both are on the same plane in terms of getting an admission into an IIT. Same thing with MBBS. If you don't get in the top 40,000 ranks, in a public MBBS college you will not get it, private you might get it. You will get it, private you will get it. Right? But the choice that you made is when you chose a stream. The second part of it is assuming you know that you're not cut out for an IIT because you're preparing and you say, my simple advice to people is, listen, if you're scoring below 75% in your JEE mocks, no, you have very little chance, because how would you grow from 78 to 98 to 100? That's a massive climb that you have. So we always tell people, especially people who say, can I take a gap year and come back and all, we look at the score, last year's score, and it was 70% because you can score 85-90% based on your fundamental understanding of the subject. How many of you think, okay, let me put a different question. You know the topper, Prabha, can you just come here? Right. Prabha is my colleague, she handles IIT and NEET, right? JEE is out of 360 marks, right? You know the topper is 360 or 359 or something. There are 12 lakh students who have taken the examination. If you want to take 98 percentile, or say 97 percentile, what is the number of marks you must get out of 360? 350 you're saying, right? Anything else? It will be about 170, 180? It will be about 170, 180. The reason is this. You have a certain set of people setting a benchmark, which is 360 and all. By the time you come down to the 100th rank, this falls to 330. By the time you come down to 1000th rank, it falls to 300. By the time you come to 10,000th rank, it falls down to 200. You get my point? So I earlier talked of goal setting, right? You must set a goal that I can't get 360, how would I get 250 marks? Because at 250, you're still a part of the 98 percentilers. Right? You have that data point anywhere? Mobile one, huh? Sachin has it. Just get that and maybe I'll present it here. Sachin made a presentation to the Sanskrit school. Right. I'll just show you the scores because it's important. Mazhar, I'll show it to them because it's important for them to understand the score pattern. Right? So the thing is this. You need to understand that if you set a goal for yourself of how you will do that, many things will fall in place for you. And that's very important for you. Once you do that, you know that I can't get 360 but I'll get 250. 250 is good enough for you to get into IITs. Assuming you're not getting there also, then you start working on your plan B, which is, okay, I'm not getting into NITs and IITs. What are the other good engineering universities in the country? Public and private. Public and private. I say public because in every state there are very, very good colleges which are much better than some of the private institutions. And they're also affordable. Then you come down to private, like you have CBIT in Hyderabad, right? Across the country you'll have some NIT has it, Shiv Nadar has it. You know, Amrita is a very good university. How many of you have heard of Amrita University? Right? Amrita University, Shiv Nadar University, VIT University, SRM University, Manipal University. You have multiple universities. There you also have scholarships. Especially for girl children, there is a scholarship too. Right? And there's a category-based reservation also. When I say reservation, they want greater diversity. So that way they do reservation, not that want to do anything else, right? What's in that? No. Okay. No, that's okay, but just send him that. I'll show it to them. No question. Ask him just send that. Yeah? So the important thing for you is this. Set your goal of saying 250. Is if you're not achieving 250 after a point in time, you start working on what are the other options, plan B. My advice to all of you is don't fall below plan C. You actually have IITs and NITs, then you have the next best set of things, then you have the next best within the state maybe, which are local. After that, if you're still not getting it, just don't do engineering for the heck of doing engineering. Don't do medical just because you want to do medical. The other thing is, because some of you might be are in PCB, you might be taking PCB and want to do doctors, right? Now there are last year 21 lakh students who took the NEET examination. The number of seats is 80 to 100,000. Remove the reservation category, you're dealing with 50,000. Which means you're competing against very, very difficult terrain, right? What you need to understand is that there are about 24 other life sciences courses, allied sciences courses, what we call them. Like you talk of BSc in radiology, BSc in nutritionist, BSc in psychology, BSc in lab technician. Perfect. Excuse me? Can you just put it on the system, this one, this presentation? Is it possible? Yeah. Right. When you do that, there are about 24 life sciences courses. All of them give you a guaranteed job. For example, you do a BSc in lab technician, right? You can open a lab. These days, for anything you go to a lab, isn't it? Blood test, urine test, whatever it is, you go to a lab, right? There's a need for that in the country. You can keep adding that, right? So what I'm saying is, you have your plan B and plan C ready. Your plan A is that you want to do MBBS in good government colleges. Plan B is, what are the private colleges that I might get into and my father can afford to pay for that. Plan C is, what are the other programs where you actually have a decent job possibility because you do that BSc program. Keep that option open. Don't close those options because you either have to be in the top 5% or you're on the streets then. 20 lakh students are doing BSc programs. And they're not bad. They're very good people. You go to any lab, they're not the doctors who are treating you. You go to a hospital, you know, you have BSc radiologist, right? He's testing you out there. BSc nutritionist is visiting all the rooms to give a food chart to the patient. And all those things are jobs for you. Within hospital, not more than 2% are doctors. 98% are support staff and people who are analyzing, evaluating, recommending and those kind of things. And that's important for you to understand, right? Yeah.
Good morning, sir. Sir, I am Arnav Rao of class 10D, sir. Sir, nowadays we are being encouraged to do multiple courses instead of just sticking to one. So, according to you, doing multiple courses in one industry is better or doing one course in multiple industries is better?
See, my simple thing for all of you is keep your options as broad as possible, right? I'll come to the dual degree. See, India now also has dual degree programs. About 2,500 dual degree programs are there in the country, which means when you study in this college, you actually get two degrees, right? Maybe BSc in agriculture and BSc in something else, right? It's a possibility. And there are dual degree programs. There are integrated degree programs in the country where 3 years you get a degree, 4 years you get a master's program, which is what is happening, right? Like BITS Pilani has an integrated degree program, master's degree program, right? The important thing for you to understand is that if you keep your options broader, I'll take an example and give this actually, right? In Bombay, there is a institute which is a large management institute, Narsi Monji Institute of Management. I don't know how many of you heard of it, NMIMS they call it. They have an exam called NMAT. Now, Narsi Monji has a flagship program which is MBA, right? But they also have specialized programs which are retail management, event management, you know, and so on and so forth. Now, when a company like Reliance went in to recruit for their floor managers, they took it from the mainstream flagship program and not from the retail management program. Because they wanted a person who has a broader width of everything and not just focused on retail management. So, a retail management company went to Narsi Monji and recruited MBA flagship program and not MBA and retail management students. Because increasingly, as I said earlier, resilience, adaptability, all these things are to do with how broad you are in your understanding of labor laws, factory laws, retail laws and everything. Right? So my opinion is stick to one at this point in time. Too early for you to jump onto anything, it's too early for you to get into a specialization if possible. Unless you're very clear that I want to do cement engineering. That's a different game altogether. Right? But if you keep your options open, keep your options broader, so that will help you out. Right? Yeah. Yeah, next. Any more questions? I'll just show you the sheet otherwise. Oh, they are doing it there as well. Okay. Ask me one more question while we're chatting up. So, how many are fans of Pawan Kalyan? Are you a fan of Pawan Kalyan as an actor or a politician? Are you saying that you hate him as a politician? And how many of you would be, I think 10th money, they'll be 16, 17 age, brother? 15. So you're not voting this time around, isn't it? You will vote next time. You will vote, no? Don't vote to a person because he's a hero. Yeah? Listen. Okay. Earlier I talked of the National Institute. Now look at it. You have 23 IITs, 31 NITs, 25 triple ITs. Your main. Yeah. ISL 7, AIMS 20, IIMS 20, NITs 5, SPA, which is architecture 3, NIPAL, which is pharmacy, right? You have 7 of them. NIFTEM is food technology, right? They have 2 of them. Central University is 7, Medical Research Institute 4, and other specialized 12. Right? Other specialized, if you want, I'll give you a list of that also. Right? Now come to this whole thing. Is it not going? Now look at the score on the right. This is for JE, right? The top 19 rankers have scored up to 286. But by the time you come down to 2863 and after, you look at this 4667, the score is 200. From 360, they come down to 200. Right? It's 300, right? These out of 300, right? These are about 300, last to last year. Right? So at 200, which means 66% in your method, right? So your 66% is 99 percentile. You understand that? Your 66% is 99 percentile. You understand the difference in percentile and percentages? You understand that, right? That's because at 4667 out of 10 lakh students, which is 0.5%. 0.5%. You know the percentile? Are you sure? No, you don't know the percentile. All of you are lying. Okay. So I'll tell you what percentile means. Percentage is like you get 70 out of 100, you get 70 marks. Now let's assume that of all the people that you have here, one gets 100 out of 100 and the next one gets 70 out of 100. Second ranker is 70 out of 100. The 70 out of 100 is 99 percentile because to rank them, 100 is 1. The next one, which is 70, is the second ranker. He is 99. The third one might be 60. He is 98 percentile. So what percentile means is, it puts the cohort, the entire student group into one body and starts not ranking them not by the score, but by the percentile. You get it? Right? So for example, in this particular case, if you look at the table on the right, 2863 you have it? 2863? The 2863 guy got 214 marks. And the 4667 guy got 200 marks. You understood? Look at the second row. The 2863, you see, has got a percentile of 99.57503767 percentile. Is 99.7 percentile, though he got only 214 marks. At 200 marks, which is 66 percentile in your normal terms, in school terms, the student is 99.57 percentile. So he's in the top 0.43% of students in the country. He's less than 0.5%. He's the top 4.5% students in the country. So what you will be aiming for in your answer is, even if you aim for 200, you would have been 99.57 percentile and you would get into any NIT. So don't aim for 300, aim for 200. Right? Now, I'll take, and it keeps going on. If you see that, at 149, ideally you must go up to about 20,000, 21,000 rank, you get into IITs and NITs. Because in all about 40,000 seats are there. Right? For general category, about 25,000 rank, you'll get into any NIT and IIT. For that to reach, what you need? You need 149 out of 300. If you get 149 out of 300 marks, You are studying in NIT or IIT. Is that easy enough now? So that is what we will aim for. That's a chart. I'll leave this chart, brother, so that you can actually send it across to them. Because it's important for them. See, every time now you are always confused saying I can't be a topper, I can't be a topper, because you get intimidated by a guy who got 300 out of 300. You don't need to get 300 out of 300. At 150 also you still get into NIT and IIT. Because at 150 marks, 140 marks, your rank is 21,000 and your percentile is 98.07 percentile. You got it? Right. The same thing I take to medical also. Medical percentile? No, medical is out of 720 marks. The NEET exam is out of 720 marks. Now you look at a rank of 21,000 to 48,400, because up to 48,400 you get a seat in a good medical college, government medical college, right? So for you to get 48,400, your score has to be 550 out of 720. 550 out of 720. That's a possibility? You need to deal with that. Understood this? All of you understood this? What it means is, you take the combined merit of the entire student group and rank them on percentile basis. Someone who got 720 is 99 percentile, someone who got 719 is 98 percentile, but someone who got, say, 500 is third one, he's 97 percentile, he's not 500 percentages. It's not divided 500 by 728 come to percentage, which is what in schools they do. But percentile system will say, okay, you are still top 97 percentile of the country. You understood that, right? So this is the score. So when you do a goal setting, you must do a goal setting saying, okay, I can't be here, can I be here? And if I'm here, I'll get into this college in this program. That's what goal setting is all about. So I requested Brother Sudhakar Reddy, next time around, maybe with your parents you call me over and explain these things so that you can actually decide better for yourself. Right? I won't take you beyond this because it's too much for you. So. Yeah? Thanks so much.
Thank you, sir. I now invite the General Secretary to propose the word of thanks.
A very good morning to one and all present here. Today, I deem it a proud privilege to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of the management of St. Paul's High School and the students. Firstly, I would like to thank all the alumni members for organizing this wonderful lecture. This is because of your enormous cooperation, valuable contribution, and enlightenment that we Paulians have got the enthusiasm and courage to face all the challenges in the near future. Thank you once again for making this seminar a grand success. Next, I would like to thank our principal, Reverend Brother Sudhakar Reddy, for making this seminar happen. Thank you, brother, for conducting such an interesting and informative seminar for us Paulians. It is because of your efforts that we stand here today confidently as responsible individuals with full of discipline. My special thanks to all the supporting staff members for their dedication in making this seminar a grand success. My heartfelt thanks to our Vice Principal, Ms. Suju Thomas, for her dedication, vigorous support and enthusiasm in the conduct of this seminar. Thank you, teacher, for your kind gesture. A big round of applause for the distinguished speaker of the day, Mr. Maheshwer Peri, CA, Alumnus of St. Paul's High School, 1983 batch. The reason for me to thank him at the end is because there is a lot to speak about him. Many thanks, sir, for this motivating and inspiring seminar. As a token of our appreciation, gratitude and respect, I now request the President of St. Paul's Alumni Association, Mr. Mazhar Ali, to present a memento on behalf of the St. Paul's Alumni Association to sir. Thank you, sir. I now request Mr. Kanaka Kumar, Treasurer of St. Paul's Alumni Association, to present the gift to Mr. Peri on behalf of the management of St. Paul's High School. Thank you, sir. Sir, your words of wisdom have empowered us on a journey of success and resilience. Thank you, sir, for your humble gesture. At last, I would like to tell you that an important principle of success in all walks of life and in any caste, creed and race is the readiness to go the extra mile, which measures the rendering of a more and better service without expecting any reward. May God bless us all. Thank you.